You know, I don't like waking up to a dirty kitchen.
Who cares?
I care, all right? I care.
For decades, Jennifer Aniston has been one of Hollywood's brightest stars, a name that guaranteed smiles, laughter, and box office success. From her breakout role as Rachel Green on Friends to her countless romantic comedies and acclaimed performances in The Morning Show, Jennifer became more than an actress. She became America's sweetheart. But now, whispers are growing louder across Hollywood. Jennifer Aniston may never work again. Behind the glamour, fame, and the ever-present smile lies a truth far more complex than anyone imagined. In recent years, Jennifer has stepped away from the spotlight, quietly turning down major roles and disappearing from public events. Sources close to her claim she's emotionally exhausted, disillusioned with the industry she once loved. For the first time in her career, the woman who symbolized effortless charm is finding it impossible to continue pretending that everything is fine. As fans wonder what went wrong, Jennifer's inner circle reveals heartbreaking details about health struggles, deep personal losses, and a growing sense that Hollywood no longer feels like home. It's a story of resilience, aging in the public eye, and the painful cost of fame. Today, Jennifer Aniston's life looks nothing like it did during her golden years on Friends. What really happened to her? Why has she chosen to walk away at the peak of her legacy? And what is Jennifer's life like now away from the cameras? Before she became the face of an entire generation, Jennifer Aniston's path was anything but certain. Born in Sherman Oaks, California, on February 11, 1969, Jennifer grew up surrounded by the world of television. Her father, John Aniston, was a soap opera star, while her mother, Nancy Dow, was also an actress. Yet her childhood wasn't filled with glamour or red carpets. Instead, it was marked by instability and emotional distance, especially after her parents' difficult divorce when she was just 9 years old. That early pain shaped the woman she would later become, driven, guarded, and quietly determined to find her place in a chaotic industry. In the early 1990s, Jennifer struggled like most young actors. She worked as a waitress, appeared in a few failed sitcoms, and faced rejection after rejection. Hollywood wasn't kind to young women who didn't fit its narrow mold of perfection. But everything changed in 1994 when she landed the role of Rachel Green on Friends. What was supposed to be just another ensemble comedy quickly turned into a cultural phenomenon, and Jennifer became the heart of it all. Rachel's layered charm, sharp wit, and vulnerability turned Jennifer into an overnight sensation. Millions wanted her haircut, her wardrobe, her confidence. Suddenly, she wasn't just an actress. Once she was a trendsetter, the embodiment of 90s cool. But behind the laughter and worldwide fame, Jennifer was quietly struggling with the pressures of perfection. The tabloids followed her every move, dissecting her relationships, her appearance, and her career choices. Fame, as she would later admit, came with a price. After Friends ended in 2004, Jennifer faced one of the most challenging transitions in her life, proving she could stand on her own without the comfort of a hit TV show. The media fixation on her marriage to Brad Pitt and its heartbreaking end only intensified the spotlight. While the world speculated endlessly about her personal life, Jennifer tried to rebuild her professional one. Movies like The Breakup, Marley and Me, and The Switch showed her comedic brilliance. But critics often refused to take her seriously. By the 2010s, Jennifer was working tirelessly to redefine her image. She turned to more dramatic roles, including Cake, which earned her critical acclaim and proved her range extended far beyond romantic comedy. But even with that success, Hollywood's obsession with youth and reinvention began to take its toll. The scripts became fewer, the pressure heavier, and Jennifer began to question whether the industry still had room for her. While others saw her as a symbol of eternal youth, Jennifer saw something different, a woman aging under the harshest light imaginable, one where every wrinkle became a headline. It wasn't the work that broke her spirit. It was the constant scrutiny and emotional exhaustion that came with being a woman in Hollywood over 50. Today, as she steps away from the spotlight, Jennifer isn't just retreating from acting, she's reclaiming her peace. She has found solace in quiet mornings, yoga, and time spent with close friends. The woman who once ruled Hollywood now finds strength in solitude. But the question remains, What truly drove Jennifer Aniston to leave Hollywood behind? And what is she facing now that she's walked away from the career that made her a legend? To the world, Jennifer Aniston's life looked picture perfect. Luxury homes, Hollywood premieres, and a seemingly endless career filled with adoration. But behind that calm and glowing smile was a woman quietly battling loneliness, pressure, and a lifetime of being misunderstood. For decades, she was seen as the girl next door, the woman everyone wanted to marry or be friends with. Yet, that label became both a blessing and a cage. Jennifer once admitted in an interview that people saw her as this cheerful, easygoing woman, but very few ever asked if she was truly happy. The truth is, Jennifer's life after Friends wasn't as easy as her fame suggested. The constant public fascination with her relationships, especially her marriage to Brad Pitt and his later relationship with Angelina Jolie, left scars that never fully healed. Every time she stepped out in public, every time she gave an interview, she was met with questions not about her craft, but about her past heartbreak. For years, she became the unwilling face of the woman who was left behind, even as she tried to redefine herself on her own terms. She poured herself into work, choosing films that reflected a more mature and introspective side of her personality. But while her fans adored her, Hollywood's casting doors slowly began to close. As she aged, offers grew fewer, and the scripts that landed on her desk became repetitive or uninspired. The industry that once celebrated her now seemed unsure of where she belonged. For Jennifer, who always believed in working hard to prove herself, that realization was quietly devastating. Friends close to her say that around the time she turned 50, Jennifer began talking openly about slowing down, not because she had lost interest in acting, but because she felt invisible in a business obsessed with the next young face. It wasn't the roles themselves she missed, but the respect and creative excitement that once came with them. The Hollywood she entered in the 1990s was gone, replaced by an industry driven by algorithms, streaming data, and short-lived fame. In her private life, Jennifer longed for stability, a sense of family she never truly had growing up. Despite her 2 high-profile marriages and rumored romances, she never had children, a topic the tabloids cruelly exploited for years. But Jennifer never saw that as a loss. She once said, "There's this pressure on women to be mothers, and if they're not, they're seen as incomplete. That's a narrative I refuse to accept." That quiet defiance became one of her greatest strengths, but it also deepened her isolation from the Hollywood machine that profited off her pain. The years of public judgment and endless speculation began to take a toll on her mental and emotional health. She started stepping away from social events, skipping awards shows, and choosing to spend her time in quiet spaces, painting, reading, and practicing mindfulness. To some, it looked like withdrawal. To those who know her best, it was self-preservation. Jennifer Aniston had spent over 3 decades making people laugh and cry through screens around the world. But behind closed doors, she was learning something new. How to live for herself, not for Hollywood. She began to realize that peace wasn't found in applause or fame, but in the silence that follows when you stop trying to please everyone. Now, when she appears in rare interviews or quiet public moments, Jennifer carries a different kind of glow, one that comes from acceptance rather than performance. The woman who once feared fading from Hollywood's spotlight has discovered that there's beauty in walking away on her own terms. But even as Jennifer finds peace, rumors continue to swirl. Is her departure truly permanent? And what secrets about her life away from Hollywood reveal the real reason she may never return? By the time Jennifer Aniston reached her early 50s, her relationship with Hollywood had completely changed. What was once a world filled with creativity and excitement had become a source of exhaustion and quiet pain. She had built a career out of charm and talent, but she was tired of the endless cycle of publicity, gossip, and pressure to remain flawless. Hollywood expected Jennifer to be timeless, ageless, scandal-free, and constantly smiling, an impossible standard that began to drain her spirit. It wasn't just the tabloids or public obsession with her private life that pushed her away. It was the growing sense that her art no longer mattered. Roles for women her age were shrinking, and even when she delivered powerful performances, like her deeply emotional work in the morning show, the headlines still focused on her appearance rather than her craft. In one interview, Jennifer hinted at her frustration, saying she was tired of being boxed into the same expectations, adding, "It's not about the fame anymore. It's about peace." Behind the scenes, Jennifer began to face new health concerns that made her reconsider the pace of her life. Decades of long filming schedules, emotional strain, and constant media attention had taken a toll on her body and mind. Friends close to her revealed that she had become more protective of her energy, carefully choosing projects, or turning them down, if they interfered with her mental well-being. It wasn't burnout. It was a deliberate decision to stop sacrificing herself for a system that never truly saw her as a person. Jennifer had always believed in staying strong, but she also knew that strength sometimes meant letting go. In recent years, she quietly sold off several of her properties, simplifying her life and spending most of her time in her peaceful Bel Air home, surrounded by her dogs and a close circle of trusted friends. She started focusing on small things, early morning walks, cooking, meditating, and practicing gratitude. The woman who once lived on film sets now found comfort in the stillness of her own company. But her retreat from the spotlight didn't come without rumors. Hollywood insiders whispered that she was difficult to work with or no longer interested in big projects. In truth, Jennifer had simply outgrown the version of fame that had once defined her. She didn't crave the constant validation anymore. After all, she had achieved everything an actor could dream of: awards, fame, wealth, and respect, but none of it had brought lasting happiness. Her decision to step away was also deeply emotional. Jennifer had lost several close friends and colleagues over the years, including her beloved Friends co-star Matthew Perry. His passing hit her harder than most realized. Sources close to her shared that his death made her reevaluate what truly mattered in life. The idea of returning to work on another demanding project suddenly felt meaningless compared to nurturing the relationships that had survived fame's chaos. For Jennifer, walking away wasn't a defeat, and it was liberation. She had nothing left to prove. She had played every role imaginable, from comedic icon to dramatic powerhouse. Now, she was ready to live a role written entirely by herself. In her rare interviews today, Jennifer speaks softly about the importance of balance, of knowing when to step back. She says she's finally learned to live without needing constant approval, a powerful revelation for a woman whose entire life had been lived under a camera lens. And so, while fans continue to wonder whether Jennifer Aniston will ever return to Hollywood, the truth is simpler. She doesn't need to. Her legacy is already secure, and her peace is finally her own. But even now, there's one chapter left in Jennifer's story, one that reveals what her life looks like today and the message she hopes to leave behind. Today, Jennifer Aniston's life looks nothing like the one she lived at the height of her fame, and that's exactly how she wants it. The once non-stop rhythm of film sets, interviews, and red carpets has been replaced by calm mornings, long walks with her dogs, and evenings spent surrounded by a few trusted friends. Her world has become quieter, smaller, but also more meaningful. For the first time in decades, Jennifer isn't chasing scripts, headlines, or validation. She's chasing peace. At 56, she's content to live life away from the Hollywood spotlight. Friends describe her as grounded and reflective, a woman who has finally found comfort in simplicity. Her home in Bel Air has become her sanctuary, filled with art, books, and sunlight. It's a space where she can breathe without judgment. Jennifer spends hours reading, journaling, meditating, and focusing on her health. After years of being defined by appearances, she now defines herself by how she feels inside. She's still involved in projects she believes in, but on her own terms. She occasionally produces behind the scenes, lending her name to meaningful stories rather than starring in them. Her beauty brand, Lolavi, reflects her new philosophy, embracing natural aging and self-care without pressure. To her, growing older isn't something to hide from. It's something to honor. "I've earned every year," she once said. There's freedom in not caring about what anyone else thinks anymore. Those who visit Jennifer say she's happier now than she's been in years. She spends weekends cooking for friends, practicing yoga at sunrise, and even taking quiet trips to places where no one recognizes her. After years of public heartbreak and constant scrutiny, she's learned that true love doesn't always come from another person. Sometimes, it comes from finally learning to love yourself. Of course, she still misses acting at times. Performing was always her first love, and she remains proud of the work she's done. But the idea of returning to the exhausting pace of Hollywood no longer appeals to her. She's been honest about her growing discomfort with the industry's obsession with youth, saying, "The pressure to stay young isn't real life. It's a game, and I'm done playing it." Jennifer's decision to step away has also inspired many women in the industry who feel the same silent pressure she once did. She's become a quiet voice for change, not through speeches or activism, but by example. By refusing to conform to Hollywood's expectations, she's showing that fulfillment doesn't require fame. Her courage to walk away has made her more powerful than ever. Today, Jennifer's legacy isn't just about the laughter she brought through Friends or the heart she showed in films. It's about endurance, about surviving an industry that often breaks people down and finding beauty in what remains. Her journey from a struggling actress to one of the most beloved women in entertainment isn't defined by awards or records, but by the grace with which she's learned to let go. When fans see her now, smiling naturally, without pretense or performance, they see the real Jennifer Aniston. A woman who has weathered heartbreak, loss, and loneliness, but emerged with quiet strength. She no longer needs Hollywood's approval because she's found something far more valuable: peace of mind. So, will Jennifer Aniston ever work again? Maybe not in the way the world remembers her, but in truth, she doesn't have to. Her story has already been written in the hearts of millions who grew up watching her, and now she's living her final act, not on screen but in real life, one filled with serenity, gratitude, and the kind of happiness that no camera could ever capture.